Few moments, and with the help of the Holy Spirit, I want to preach from this thought: wrestling before dawn, the blessing after the confession. Wrestling before dawn, the blessing after the confession. There is a wonderful book I would recommend to anyone navigating midlife, and it is by one of my favorite authors, theological authors, a priest, a Jesuit priest by the name of Richard Rohr. He writes a book that I've read a number of times, and because I'm in a different season of life every time I read it, somebody know what I'm talking about, that thing hits differently. It's a book called Falling Upward. And it talks about how throughout life, from the time we are born, really from the womb of our mothers, there is a particular image of what a successful life should look like. It comes not just from the values in our family that are imposed upon us. It comes from what you watch, what you read, what you encounter throughout life. And to simplify the example, many people move to this country in search of this box known as the American dream. Many of us were taught, particularly as women, that you have no value if you're not married. And so we spend our lives, here, give you some examples, as little girls. They give us Barbie dolls to put together, and we play house because it's ingrained in us that if we are not married, we have missed out on something great in life. We are told that you've got to have children, male or female, that without having a child, you are missing out. No one talking about infertility, no one talking about bodily challenges. And so some of us navigate life feeling that we have missed out, or if you will, because you are a single and childless woman, right? As if you have not fulfilled or can find fulfillment in who God is. We're told that you should go to college, you should get a job, you should work for 30 years on that one job with that one crazy boss, get you a 401k and retire. And when you've got that one cousin who colors outside the lines, they globally travel, they ain't worried about chick nor child, as my mama would say. They are enjoying life. Fam said, yeah, but if that girl, that dude would just settle down. Men, bachelorhood is good to a particular age, but then you have come to the family reunion as a single male of 35, and they either questioning your sexuality or they question it. I'm telling you what I know. I'm not telling you what I think. I'm telling you what I know. And as my favorite social media person says, and if I'm wrong, put me out of business. So now they're questioning your sexuality. Now they're questioning if you're really a man and you just out here playing the field and you're enjoying life. And so we live these lives filling your box as a child because life told you what a successful life should look like. And some of us filled our boxes so perfectly. We did what we were supposed to do, only to look up and be miserable. And this is where Richard Rohr says you honestly and genuinely meet midlife. What's interesting in his claim that I should share with you is that he declares that midlife can happen at any age, and some people die having never experienced midlife at an old age. Because when you come to a point where you realize that the box was simply an illusion of what happiness and sustainability might look like, and now you say, I don't know that that's what I really want anymore. This just might be what everyone wanted for me. Come on and help me preach today. And so now you are in a kerfuffle. That's the nice word. I'm back, but I'm trying to be good. You know, it's my first Sunday. Can't scare the visitors. And so now you're in a kerfuffle because you've built this thing, and it's not providing what you thought. You got the dream job and you're miserable. You got the relationship, but it's trifling. You got the body, but you want to eat pizza at least every once in a while, every now and then. And he says, some children experience midlife as a child when they're diagnosed with an illness and they got to grow up fast, or a parent dies at the age of adolescence. And so now here it is, that child at 8, 9, 10, or 11 is in midlife because the box has broken. Or some of us go through midlife. I saw something the other day. It say, hey, 80s babies, how's your divorce and your fitness plan going? I said, it's going pretty well. I finished my divorce. I'm in Pilates. I must be right on track. But I like it. I want to be clear. I like it right here, okay? All right, it's a freedom, baby. Listen, okay, we'll talk about that later. But there are also people who will live their whole life in the box. And they will die never having experienced real life or midlife. I think this is where we find Jacob in our text. He's having a midlife crisis, if you will. Jacob is an interesting character. Let me give you a little background, a little history, so we can all get on the same page. Jacob is the grandson of Abraham. Most of us know Abraham. He's the father of our faith, if you will. And in Genesis chapter 12, God comes to Abraham and he says to him, I want you to leave your nation. I want you to leave your neighborhood. And I want you to leave your people. And I want you to go to a place I will show you. And this is Abraham, if you will. This is his midlife moment because he's got to leave what's familiar. That's going to speak to somebody. You've gotten real comfortable with what's familiar. You're comfortable with where you live. You're comfortable with your living arrangement. You're comfortable with your financial situation. And then God says, yep, I want to do something different. I want you to leave what's comfortable. And I want you to go not to a place called 2526 Cedarwood Road. I want you to go to a place I will show you, which means that you got to leave first. And along the way, I'll show you where we're going. And I came to tell somebody that Abraham reminds us that God does not give you all of the details. It is not MapQuest with God that you are 3 miles away from your final destination. No, God says, just go on and get out there and on the long walk, I'll show you along the way. This is the grandson of Abraham. Abraham has a son named Isaac. Isaac is married to Rebekah. There's some good stuff with Isaac. Isaac is the one that once Abraham and Sarah have kind of manipulated a situation, we're going to come back to that in a second, manipulated a situation with a concubine because they can't really fully believe that God would do what God said God would do. Then they end up having Isaac, and God says, watch this, I don't need your help to unfold your destiny. And so he ends up having this son named Isaac, and it is his beloved son. It is his prized son. And then he says, okay, go and take him up on the mountain and I need you to sacrifice him. And so he takes him up on the mountain out of obedience. He's getting ready to sacrifice his son, only for the son to say, where is the sacrifice? And the daddy say, God himself will provide. I can't tell the kid I'm about to kill him. I can't tell the kid I'm about to give back him to God, even though God gave him to me. And just at the point of sacrifice, God provides a ram in a bush. Come on here to just say, I just wanted to see if you were willing to give up what was what? Comfortable. Yes. Isaac marries Rebekah. Similar prophecy given to Abraham is given to Isaac and Rebekah. You're going to have multiple children. And in fact, what's crazy is God goes to Isaac and Rebekah, shares this with Isaac and Rebekah, but then only to Rebekah. Very important because he reveals it to the woman, but not to the man. And that's important because in this time, this day, and this age, and still today, we believe if God don't reveal it to a man, then God can't reveal it to a woman. But I came to tell you, God talks to women too. And sometimes God says, I can't trust it with the man, but I'm going to trust it with the woman. And so he tells Rebekah, he says, listen, you got two babies, you got twin boys in your womb. They're going to turn into a great nation, but the youngest, the oldest will be ruled by the youngest. Now, this is against all social norms. The oldest is supposed to rule. The oldest is supposed to get the inheritance. The oldest is supposed to be the man. And so she just says, may it be unto me as you have said, only for the time of their father Isaac to be able, is about to make his transition. And Rebekah, like Sarah, inserts herself to manipulate the situation. And so she says, because she wants to, now hear this, ladies, this is where we get in trouble. I'm just trying to help God along. God don't need your help. She says, hey, I'm going to fix your daddy's favorite stew. You go on in there. He about to give his final blessing. You go on in there and you get it. He says, but I'm not hairy. She said, don't worry, I got some weave down from the corner. Put this on. Your daddy can't see, and when he feel out, just, it's human hair. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Ain't that synthetic? He'll be all right. He'll think it's real. And Esau too sells his blessing. Because if you don't have a control on your hunger, you will give away what God has promised you. So somebody to read, if you don't get your appetite under control, you will lose the blessings of God. And some of us can go back in our lives and think about times when our hunger for promotion was bigger than being in alignment with God. And then you got that job and realized, oh, this ain't really what I'm trying to be a part of. And God says, no. But you didn't have a good control on your appetite. So you got Abraham, you got Isaac. Jacob swindles Esau, his brother, out of the blessing. And as you might imagine, you can't, come on siblings, you can't steal my blessing and then think we still gonna be good. Because Esau said, Daddy, where's my blessing? And he said, your brother got all of it. He said, all of it? All of it. And so now these two brothers separate because they can no longer cohabitate together. It is sibling drama. Y'all see how this is best? It's like the world turns, the young and the restless, and the bold and the beautiful with the guiding light. It's juicy if you read it, but you got to read more than a verse a day. Anyway, so, yeah. And so, Jacob goes on with his blessing. He acquires much. He then gets swindled by Laban. He sees this girl, Rachel. She is fine. He say, I want it. He go to her daddy, say, what I got to do to get with Rachel. He said, what about Leah? He said, you know, she a little cross-eyed. She a little special. She can't quite see real good. You know, I'm not against ableism. I'm just saying that's what the Bible say. She got some eye issues, and I don't really know if she she looking at me or not. And so I would prefer Rachel. He says, okay, he says, you got to work for her. He says, say less, sir. I'm going to work for Rachel, because every man in here will tell you that when he finds the woman he wants, he's willing to work for her. Come on here. And if he ain't willing to work for you, you might want to reconsider if that's really the one. That's a freebie right there for you. And so he works those 7 years and then says, all right, I have served my time. Give me my woman. He says, here's Leah. He said, wait. He said, well, I can't. He said, but if you work another 7 years or so, I'll give you Rachel. So he say, fine. She must have been fine, honey, because he said, I ain't worried about this one. Okay, fine. Come on, Leah, and I'm going to work for Rachel. So you see, I'm just trying to give y'all the CCJ translation. Amen. Get you caught up. So he works for Rachel, and he gets Rachel. And finally, he is beginning to have children. And a time has come, hear this, within his spirit where he is clear that he really needs to return and work things out with Esau. I don't want to leave this earth. This is a good word for somebody here. In conflict with my own blood. Watch this. Let me do it responsibly, especially when I'm the one who caused the harm. I don't want you to miss that caveat, because I don't want you out here trying to repair things with the people who hurt you. This is about when you know you've done wrong. Maybe there's some ways that you need to reconcile in that work, right? And so he begins to send some gifts ahead to Esau, because he says, he might still be mad at me. I don't know. You know how we try to feel it out. He's just trying to feel it out. He's like, let me just send you a little frankincense, a little myrrh, a little gold. Hey, brother, I'm coming to see you. Just want you to know we good, we Gucci, we cool, we got it, right? And so he sends those gifts ahead. And so he continues on with his family, and he comes to a place called the Ford of the Jabbok. And, excuse me, at the Ford of the Jabbok, he sends his wives over, he sends his possessions over, and the Bible says he's left alone. And we're going to walk through this thing, because I need you to know that sometimes God can't get to you because of all the stuff you got around you. You got people in your ear that you treat as your God. And so God says, I can't talk to you about what I want to talk to you about, because you make private conversations, group conversations, and God says, so I can't get to you until I can separate you. And so God says, so go on and send the women and the kids across. Watch this. And then he sends across the possessions, because sometimes you forget that your degrees might matter with your boss, but your degrees don't matter with me. Your position might matter at the church, but your position don't matter with me. Your position, your pedigree might matter when you're doing your family tree, but your pedigree don't matter with me. So I send all of that stuff across so I can get you alone. It is honestly, in this moment, I am realizing a similar recreation of Adam when he is naked and unashamed. Sometimes I got to get you by yourself so that you can actually hear me. I need some people to turn their backs on you because you prayed one way when you was with them, but now that they out your life, you got a prayer life like you ain't never seen before. When you were spending money left and right, I couldn't get a tithe out of you, but now that you don't have a pot to and a window to throw it out of, now you're like, well, Lord, let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do. Let me see what I can do. Says he's alone, and it's nighttime. Nighttime when you're vulnerable. Nighttime when you are left with yourself. And I want to start there by asking you, hear me, this is a rhetorical question, and I'm going to get up in your business, but I had to get up in mine before I get up in yours. Who are you really? Not who are you churchy, but who are you really? Who are you you late at night when no one is looking? I'm going to be in your business, but I ain't going to reveal it. There's some things you do don't nobody know about. There's some things you do at night that nobody knows that you do at night. Or maybe you're bold enough to do it during the day when the people are out the house so nobody can see you while you're doing it. Not just who are you at night, who have you been for real? Because some of us, here it is, I've heard people say about people in this church, they at your church? I say, yeah, they at my church. And they go, oh, child, did you know, boop, boop, boop. And I say, well, I don't see that version of them. Watch this, because you showed up at this church at a particular season in your life, and you got the opportunity to come in and look a kind of way and smell a kind of way and dress a kind of way and make a certain kind of money. And now the reality is somebody says, yeah, but I knew them when they were this, or I knew them when they were that, and I knew them when they was borrowing money from everybody. I knew them when they had DUIs. I knew them when they got arrested. I knew them when they was a serial cheater on everybody that they knew. But you're here right now, and we see this present version of you. But baby, you ain't always been this good. You ain't always been this righteous. You ain't always had it together. God says, I get you alone so you can be honest. The Bible says he wrestles with that man. And can I go here? And we are wrestling to keep up with the Joneses. We are wrestling to keep our position. We are wrestling to keep our power. We are wrestling so that people don't realize that we are struggling as we are moving forward. We are wrestling so that we can look the part even if we don't feel the part. We are wrestling to keep up appearances. We are wrestling to keep our heads up even though we feel like we are drowning under the water. And God says, and he wrestled with that man all night. And I came to ask you, aren't you tired of wrestling? Aren't you tired of keeping up appearances? Yes. Even in the house of the Lord? Yes. People ask you, how you doing? I'm great. But are you? Or are you just holding it together by one fine thread? And if that one fine thread comes out, you're going to unravel in a way no one has ever seen you before. They wrestle all night, but I want you to hear that wrestling doesn't have to be the end of you, because that man, once he had wrestled with him all night, and the text says, and Jacob could not be overpowered. Do you hear how strong your will is, that even God cannot wrestle you to the ground? Do you see how strong your determination is for head back, head up, lifted, shoulders back, so that no one sees what you are navigating? You just, right now as I preach, you are on the verge of tears. You are ready to pull your chest open and let that thing pour out, but you wrestling that thing because you don't want people on your road to see how broken you really are. And then the man says, what is your name? And he confesses. He doesn't say, oh, I'm Jacob, it's nice to meet you. He says, I'm Jacob. I'm a heel grabber. Bible says when Jacob was born, he was already trying to take his brother's blessing. He was grasping the heel. Let me tell somebody, you spent all your life grasping. You've been grasping for love. You've been grasping to be seen. You've been grasping for attention. You've been grasping to be known. You've been grasping to know, for people to believe that you got it all together. And God says, who are you really? I am a heel grabber. You know the other word that his name translates to? Trickster. I am a player. I am a hustler. Watch this, but this is what got me, because we always get on, yeah, he's a hustler, he's a heel grabber, he's a manipulator, he's a trickster, he's a manipulator. I keep hearing it. He's a manipulator. He manipulates the situation so he can control. I've got my eyes closed because I don't want nobody to think I'm talking about them. He's a manipulator because he doesn't want anything to be beyond his control. And so he manipulates every situation so that it comes out the way he would prefer it to, even though he will in a previous chapter will say, I will bless the Lord at all times. You will bless the Lord, but you will manipulate a situation like it is nobody's business. He says, I'm Jacob. I'm a manipulator. Watch this. He says, here it is, because I've been dealing with this in my own way. He says, but it's not just me. It is the generational curse of my family. Well, my grandfather, Abraham, he was a trickster. When he and his wife Sarah went down to Egypt, he was afraid that they would want to take Sarah, and so he manipulated the situation. He tricked the situation, and so I came from him. Then there was a time where they came and they prophesied my daddy's birth, but they wouldn't believe it, so they manipulated that situation too. And they brought in a concubine, and they tried to say that the concubine was going to be able to birth me, but God did it anyway. But then it just is not them. It's Isaac too. My daddy repeated the exact same pattern as his father, because when Isaac, my daddy, went down with his wife Rebecca, he did the same thing. Tell him you're my sister. Tell him you're my sister. Because you have learned patterns of behavior throughout generations, some that you don't even know are in your bloodline, but they are wired into the fabric of who you are. Yes. I don't know if I shared this with you because February was a blur, but when I got to Lent this year, I said, I don't want another Lent like every other year. Like, I don't want to just give up social media and then Easter come and then I'm back on social media and nothing has changed. Yeah. And so I'm telling you what I did. I worked with ChatGPT. That's what I did. It's fine. Ain't no problem for me. And I said, you know a lot about me. I want you to identify some patterns of behavior so I can choose one to give up for Lent. So that thing read me for filth. It read me for, I said, oh, you know me well. And so I landed on one of them, which was hypervigilance. Y'all, I gave up hypervigilance for Easter. It is eating me alive. I didn't realize how much. But here's what I learned. I came from a hypervigilant family, which came from a hypervigilant grandparents in the family. Why was hypervigilance there? Because to be black people who came out of civil rights and to be first, my grandmother was a first. You had to be hypervigilant in order to be successful. My mother was the first to really go away to college. She had to be hyper vigilant because so many things were riding on that, and they raised us to be hyper vigilant. And I know my sister and I are so successful the way we are because we were taught to think through every single detail. We were taught that the devil is in the details. I want you to, and that has had its place. It has had its place. But it's also wrecking my nervous system. It is robbing my mental health. It's not bad. People do the best they can with what they have. But at some point, every generational curse ain't you got pregnant at 16. The worst generational curses are those that are invisible, moving through the DNA and the bloodline so that you never realize, wow, I'm repeating a cycle unbeknownst. And sometimes my grandmother ain't know what hypervigilance was. My mama ain't know what hypervigilance was at the time. Watch this. But God chose me to open my eyes and say, you don't have to be perfect. Because that's the other root of hypervigilance. Just hear this, be present. Because if you're present with me, I'll show you what you need to see. If you're present with me, I have the plan before you have the problem. Stop going through 60,000 scenarios in your head of how you might manipulate it in your favor. That's good. And you know what the biggest thing for Lent has been? Pause before I answer. Because Reverend Gina tell you, I stay ready to keep from getting ready, baby. Listen, what's the problem? Let's go. Somebody come in, Pastor Wheat, and I got to go. And then I start going like this to my side that want to pipe up. Relax, we good, girl, we good. Watch this, we don't have to solve it today. Oh, you do have to solve it, but not right now. Right? So I'm giving you my example. I'm not just talking about Jacob and his bloodline. I'm giving you the example of mine, right? So he says, what's your name, Jacob? Can I tell you that we talk about becoming God's wildest dream, but until you confess who you really are, transformation cannot take place. Otherwise, here it is, brace yourself, you're manipulating the dream. Because you're not being honest. And I love what they said today. God saw the best in me, but God still knows the worst in me. And as long as you try to only bring the best of who you are, God says you can't, here it is, you're not ready for the promise because you're not honest about where you've fallen short time and time again. So number one, you got to confess. Number two, he wrestles with that man. He asks him, what's your name? And the Bible says that there has to be a breaking before the blessing. Bible says that the man who ultimately scholars say is really a divine representative. It's not a real man. Kind of, if you read that, go back and read that passage this week. Like it starts as a man, but ends as an angel. And that's because sometimes God will bring divine beings or even people into your life to confront you in ways that you know this ain't nothing but God. And every time I've read that text, when it talks about it wrenched his hip, that it dislocated his hip, I always assumed, watch this, I put my hypervigilance, let me demonstrate it, into the text. Because if you always are operating in a particular lens, you're going to read the Bible through that same lens. That's why white evangelicalism has read it through the lens. So when they get to certain passages, they just skip over and say, we're not talking about that dark-skinned man who helped carry the cross. Nobody talks about him. They all focus on Jesus up on the cross, but nobody wants to talk about the dark-skinned man from Africa who was the one who helped Jesus carry the cross the rest of the way. But, let's keep moving. So I always thought in my hypervigilance that this touching of the hip had to have been a violent act. I mean, if you're dislocating my hip, it has to be violent. Not so in the Hebrew. It literally says the man went like this. Number one, because, let me hear you. Let me reprogram all of our theology. Because God does not come to hurt you. God comes to bless you. And God doesn't need to be violent towards you, especially those of you who are honest about who you are. If you have had the courage to confess, I am Jacob, I am the one who has spent all my life grabbing, then God says, that's enough, and I can gently touch you. That's interesting. I don't know if you know this, but the hip socket is one of the strongest joints in your body. That's why if you notice most people when they break their hip, it's because they're older, and it's really not necessarily because of the hip socket. It's because of the brittleness of the bones around it, right? Then they fall, and then we have a break in the hip and those types of things. But the hip is literally, hear this, the strongest joint in your body. So what I'm trying to tell you is that the reason why I believe, never understood this before, why God touched his hip is because he touched the place where you thought you were strong enough to keep going forward. Sometimes God has to shatter the place of strength so that you can move to a place of power. Okay. So when I was a couple weeks ago, I was in Columbus. I was in Columbus, Ohio, for the Founders Day of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, and because one of our folks who's tied to our congregation is the chapter president there, and she had invited us to come down and to hang out for the day, and so we were hanging out with the Columbus chapter, and it was a powerful conversation on this Founders Day between Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, Keisha Lance Bottoms, who's the former mayor of Atlanta, and Dr. Jamal Harrison Bryant. And they were talking about justice. It was the three of them. And I don't know what the question was that was asked of Keisha Lance Bottoms, but she gave an answer I've been unable to shake. She was talking about how, she was the mayor of Atlanta. She's currently running for governor, right? She's currently running for governor. I think she won the endorsement of the Democrats, for Georgia. And so she was sitting up there and she was talking about how all that it takes to run the campaign and what she's going through. And so she said, I got to this particular night in the campaign, I was exhausted. And so I was going to cancel therapy, because what we often do is when we're tired, we often tend to cancel the one thing that's going to fill us up. When we're tired, when we're depleted, we often give away the one thing that really has been set aside for us. And we say things like, oh, but I'm tired. But the truth of the matter is, but you've given it all out to everybody else, but I'm going down a road the Lord ain't asked me to go down, so I'm going to stick with what God is saying. And so she says, but I decided to keep therapy. She said, and I'm so glad I did. She said, because my therapist helped me understand the difference between, and I'm using women here because that's what she said, but it applies to all of us. She said between a strong woman and a powerful woman. This thing got me. She said, strong women encounter a challenge and push through. I'm over there like, yeah, with all my hypervigilance, yeah. You encounter something and there's a blessing. Come on here, churchy, in the pressing. We pushing our way through. She said, but strong women might accomplish things, but they often die before they can see the fruit of it. Strong women push through, but they got heart disease. Strong women push through, but they catch cancer largely because of stress held in their body. Strong women push through, but they have a stroke and then they pass away. And so she says strong women just keep pushing, but they never take care of the body. They don't stop. They don't pause. They just keep going. She said, but then I learned that a powerful woman is different than a strong one. She said a powerful woman encounters a challenge, allows the emotions to be processed, then learns the lesson. Then learns the lesson. I'm going to say it again. Then learns the lesson, gets the strategy to move forward, and then she proceeds not to repeat the lesson again. Strong women keep repeating patterns because you didn't learn the lesson. Strong people repeat the patterns because you're doing it in your own strength and you're trying to push forward anyhow. But powerful people say, there's a lesson in this. Let me learn the lesson so I don't have to keep repeating it, because my strength is not going to be able to keep doing these types of meetings here and there. So I'm going to learn to stand in my power. Feel the experience, how uncomfortable it is. Because some of us, we won't discomfort sit there long enough. And I'm going to learn the lesson. Why did he touch his hip? Because all your life, you've been pushing through as a trickster with strength, but not with power. So if I break the place of strength, then you get to experience my power, that you shouldn't be allowed to proceed forward, but by my grace, you can walk in to what I have for you. And so I came to tell you that when life comes crashing down, it is often God touching the place of strength so that you can learn the difference between your strength and divine power and how it rests on the inside of you. And there has to be a breaking, here it is, in the right place. There's a book called Broken in the Right Place, and it's not in print anymore. And the opening chapters talk about how thoroughbred horses must be broken in the right place so that their strength can become guided power. The argument is wild horses might be strong, but they're not powerful because no one can ride them for clarified direction. And so the horseman who trains them has to break them in the right place so that the strength can be renegotiated into a place where the divine one can mount you and ride you and direct you in the direction you are supposed to go. So when life comes crashing down, it is often God saying, I'm not trying to hurt you, baby. I'm just trying to teach you, you no longer have to do life by your strength. You no longer have to figure it out on your own. You can step into the power that I have for you, and you no longer have anything to prove. Only the courage to be. The girls' group chat was going crazy this week with corporate America. And I wondered, what would it be like to walk in on Monday and have nothing to prove? Because you're a woman of color, seated around a table with a system that was never designed to give you room and strength. What would it mean to serve in retail and to decide and to determine that whether the customer passes me by or not, my value is not determined by who comes to me for service, because God's going to take care of me no matter what. What does it mean for your business to be on track, doing what it's supposed to do, and to understand that whether the customer chooses you for the contract or not, it doesn't really rest in their hands anyway. Only God will send you who you need and what you need, and a miscontract for $10,000 can become a new customer for $20,000. But if you will take your hands off of it and stop trying to be strong, but rather stand in the confidence of what you know you offer, and you stop lowering your standards because your soul is not for sale. Got to have confession before commission. You've got to have breaking before blessing. But the last one is you've got to have an encounter before emergence. This got me because really what's happening is, he brings his family to the fort of the Jabbok. He allows them to pass over to the other side, right? And it's so funny, as I was preparing for this, I was like, oh, this is a sermon for becoming, right? So I said, put up the become. And you'll recall when I preached Become in January, I had that door. And I was talking about how you can cross over the threshold of the door. If you know what I'm talking about, you should go back and watch it in January. It'll be third Sunday in January, excuse me. But what I realized was, Reverend Gina, this is a threshold moment for him. That he can cross over the river not as who he was, but he can cross over in who he has become. How does he bless him? Your name will no longer be Jacob. Here it is. The old has passed away. Let me help somebody. The generational curse has been broken. You no longer have to be a grabber. Now you are a truster. Oh, you gonna get it when you get home. You gonna get it when you get home. You spent all your life grabbing for your brother, grabbing for your things, grabbing for the women, grabbing for the children, grabbing for the status. But when you have wrestled with God and with man and have prevailed, baby, you don't have to grab for a thing. You just stand in who you are and you trust, here it is, that what is mine will come to me. My God, what will happen when you start living like what is mine will come to me? I no longer have to worry about fixing it. I don't have to worry if I have the money. I don't have to worry if I have the degree. I don't have to worry, is it going to work out? Because everything is always working out for me, because you don't know what it cost me to get into this identity. I had to bury a piece and a part of who I was in order to stand in who I am. And so I no longer grab for anything. I trust that if it's meant for me, it's going to come to me. If it's meant for me, God is going to open a door for me. You can slam the door in my face. It don't matter, because that's not the door God wanted me to walk through. But I'll walk right on through this door that God so graciously opens for me. Watch this. And when you start to live not as who you were, but in who you are, and trusting by faith that everything you need will come to you, then you come to a place where you walk in the room a little different. Watch this. At night, he walked by his own strength. But when the day came, he walked by the power and the strength of God. I came to tell somebody, you ought to walk into the room a little differently. When you sit down at the meeting, I didn't come to grab for a thing. I came only to collect what is mine. Is there anybody who can understand that this is a different posture that costs you something? And as a result, but I need you to hear this, it costs you something. We love the end of the sermon. He's Israel, but it costs him something. One of the most powerful sermons I ever preached, I'm done. One of the most powerful sermons I ever preached was a sermon. I was preaching through 23rd Psalm. I do that every couple of years. I love preaching the 23rd Psalm. And I got to that text where it says, thou preparest a table before me. Some of y'all might remember this. In the presence of my enemy. And I lined up like 10 chairs right here in the front. And I used to read that text because I'm hypervigilant, that all of my enemies were gathered around the table. All of the people who thought I wasn't going to make it, they going to see me now. All the people who tried to kill me, tried to slander my name. I remember a woman who left this church, said that church be closed in 6 months. Baby, that was 6 years ago. And we still got the doors open, right? And so I thought, oh, certainly these people will be around the table and God will put me as the main guest at the table and my enemies will be around me. And they'll be like, ooh, I messed up on that one. Yeah, you did. You know, we just, yeah, don't you know who I am? Until I sat with that I really think the enemies around the table are not them out there. It's all the inner me's that had to die in order for this inner me to live. At some point, you had to put childish ways away. Because your childish behavior as an adult was causing you to have instability like you've never seen before. The child you is sitting at the table. The mid-adult you, the young adult you who thought they knew everything, the young adult you who got kicked out the church, the young adult you who told them people they could go to hell and then looked up and realized you ain't had no job, no check, and no tithe to hold you over. And so sometimes it's not them that God sits you down in the presence of. God says, look how many versions of you've had to sit down because they've served their purpose. And now the Israel in you can stand and sit at the table. And you no longer are judging those inner me's because those inner me's did the best they could with what they know. But now this inner me knows better. I have nothing to prove. God says to tell you today that for those of you who chose become, it's time for Jacob to sit down. It's time for the patterns of behavior to go. It's time for you to stop questioning who you really are and trust that God has a future for you that you can't micromanage in your current state, because if you already had it, you'd already be there. And so for somebody underneath the sound of my voice, daybreak has come. You have survived the night. You have wrestled with God. You have wrestled with yourself, and you have prevailed. But you also don't get to leave the encounter quite the same. The Bible says at daybreak, he crosses the ford of the Jabbok. And then it says, he looks out into the distance and he's scared because he doesn't know if his brother is still holding a grudge. And in fact, when he looks out, the Bible says his brother's walking towards him with 400 soldiers. Now, the old Jacob would have started to manipulate that situation. You run ahead, you tell him, I come in peace. Let's start backing up. Let's start. You know what he says? He says, remove the women and the children, an honorable thing to do. And he begins to walk towards his brother, bowing 7 times. As his brother has 400 military men behind him. Watch this. And he doesn't know right then how his brother is going to respond, because it looks like he ain't responding too well. But he doesn't pipe up. Watch this. Because he says, I'm about to help somebody, I don't know if my brother's any different, but it don't matter because I am. A leopard can change its spots, but it's going to cost you something. And I want you to know that you can walk different and be different if you're willing to confess. You're willing to not control the brokenness, but to say, I trust you. I don't grab for anything. I now trust for everything. And my name is known as Israel. I have wrestled with God and with man, and I have prevailed. And when you walk like you've wrestled with God, you have nothing to prove to Esau or anybody. Amen? Amen? Amen.